Right, this is one of those stories where the stopwatch tells one tale, but the body language, the parts on the bike, and the rider's own words tell a far bigger one. Sepang didn't just show a rookie down in 20th. It exposed a world champion in the middle of an identity crisis. Toprak Razgatlioglu, a rider whose name has long been synonymous with outrageous braking and rear-tyre control, is now confronting a brutal truth. The very style that made him a legend in World Superbike might be the thing holding him back in MotoGP. And the most striking image from Tuesday in Malaysia wasn't a crash or a record lap. It was the Turkish star rolling out with a rear configuration stripped of aerodynamic influence, visibly experimenting, visibly searching. In a paddock where stability is currency and wings are religion, Razgatlioglu is already rewriting his own rulebook just to survive. On Tuesday, the 3rd of February 2026, during the opening day of the official Sepang pre-season test with the full MotoGP grid, Razgatlioglu finished 20th. The headline number was a 58.887, just behind fellow 2026 rookie Diogo Moreira, who placed 19th with a 158. 682 despite suffering his first crash in the Premier class. But lap time alone doesn't capture the scale of what Toprak is attempting. The three-time World Superbike champion is still building mileage at Sepang after already taking part in the shakedown. This marked his 4th test day in Malaysia, yet Tuesday was his first true reference against the established MotoGP field. And the comparison was sobering. Still, rather than retreating into safe, standard settings, the Turkish rider drew attention by running a rear seat fairing configuration without aerodynamic elements, clearly prioritizing feel over downforce. That single visual told the story. This is a rider trying to understand the Yamaha M1 V4, not just ride it. Razgatlioglu was unusually open about the physical and technical battle he's facing. At 1.85 meters tall, he is one of the bigger riders on the grid, and the M1's geometry is already tall in its V4 era configuration. He explained that he has been experimenting with a higher seat, an older style one with aero. To improve control, the bike is a bit different because of the height, he admitted. In the end, I used a higher seat, the old one with aerodynamics. I feel better because the bike is easier to brake, the rear is easier to control, and I also feel a bit better in some corners on the throttle. That sentence is crucial. Easier to brake, easier to control the rear. Those are exactly the areas where Toprak's WSBK DNA lives. He is not chasing ultimate corner speed, yet he is trying to recreate a sense of authority over the rear tyre under deceleration and on exit. However, the trade-off is clear. He is not fully convinced about the handlebar setup, saying in some corners he struggles to get his body down because of the increased height. Lowering the bars is not a simple change, and he hinted that further adjustments are coming as early as the next morning. When asked about differences between his machine and the other Yamaha riders, Razgatlioglu confirmed he is running things differently. The others are largely using a more conventional carryover style of cockpit setup, closer to last year's philosophy. Toprak, meanwhile, is experimenting with seat height and ergonomics because for him, a lower seating position is very important. This is a key performance indicator for Yamaha engineers. If a rider of Toprak's braking caliber cannot feel secure in the braking phase without major ergonomic deviations, it highlights how sensitive this V4 M1 is to rider position and weight transfer. He is not just adapting to MotoGP, he is indirectly feeding Yamaha data about the limits of their current rider interface. Perhaps the most revealing admission came when he spoke about cornering. I still cannot keep the speed in the corner, but I'm trying to change my riding style. It's not easy, but I need it. In some corners, you must ride with a Moto2 style. At the moment, it's not easy for me. Very difficult. This is the core of the style crisis. In World SBK, Toprak's superpower was violent braking, extreme rear movement, and squaring off the corner. MotoGP. Especially with ride height devices, aero load, and stiffer tyres. Demands higher mid-corner speed, less rear slide on entry, and a more flowing line in many sections. That Moto 2 style he mentions is code for carrying lean angle and speed, rather than relying on stop-and-go aggression. For a rider who has built a career on redefining braking limits, that is not a technical tweak. It's a neurological rewrite. From a pure results perspective, P20 is tough. Being outpaced by another rookie who has already crashed shows how unforgiving this transition is. But strategically, Razgatlioglu is doing the right and brave thing. Instead of forcing his old style onto the bike and chasing lap time illusions, he is dissecting ergonomics, experimenting with aero balance, and consciously trying to evolve his technique. That usually means early suffering, but it builds a deeper foundation. If he eventually manages to blend his legendary braking precision with genuine MotoGP corner speed, he could become something extremely dangerous. A rider who can still attack in the braking zone and live in the modern aero-driven flow of the Premier class. For now, though, Sepang has made one thing crystal clear. This isn't just a rookie learning a new bike. This is a champion dismantling and rebuilding his own riding identity in real time. And that process is never smooth, never comfortable. But sometimes, it's exactly what leads to the peak. What makes this phase even more delicate is the psychological layer behind the technical work. Razgatlioglu is not arriving as a quiet rookie with no reference point. He comes in as a multiple world champion, a rider used to dictating races, not circulating at the lower end of the timesheets. Learning while losing positions is one of the hardest adjustments any elite athlete faces. And MotoGP has a long history of breaking riders who cannot accept that temporary step backwards. Sepang, with its long braking zones and flowing second half of the lap, is actually a perfect stress test for his transformation. The track brutally exposes riders who overslow the bike on entry or rely too heavily on rear movement to rotate. Several corners demand that the machine is released early and allowed to carry speed on lean. Precisely the area Toprak admits is still unnatural for him. Every lap then becomes less about chasing a lap time and more about rewiring instinct. There is also a technical subtext that cannot be ignored. Yamaha's V4 project is still in a developmental phase compared to the benchmark packages on the grid. That means Razgatlioglu is adapting not to a polished reference bike, but to a platform that itself is evolving. Feedback he provides on braking stability, rear connection, and rider ergonomics could influence the direction of future updates.